When we started the project, this was basically just a storage room. It was full of old computer equipment, various junk that we'd kept over the years in case it was useful, and turns out most of it wasn't. Basically, following YouTube tutorials, I knew that I just needed a nice backdrop, I needed some nice lights, and that was about it. So we went and gathered up a bunch of artifacts from the museum that weren't on display to make an interesting background. I found some wallpaper that was like a brick textured wallpaper. The shelves are actually part of our Anson project, so they're spars, extra spars from the Anson. One of them is actually a beam from the hangar. And then various artifacts that, are interesting or tell the story or, were not being properly displayed in the museum.
Well, our virtual program started in the summer of 2020 when we realized schools were not going to be able to come back for field trips in the fall. And we started filming and creating a virtual program for our virtual theory of flight. And that year we were able to have classes in the middle of our museum virtually while we weren't able to have schools in physically. And we did the program across Alberta and including places all over Canada. So when the museum reopened and we were able to have classes back in person, suddenly being able to have virtual classes in the middle of the museum didn't work as well. So we needed a place where we could continue to meet with virtual classes as well as in-person programming. It's gone really well. It's allowed us to continue to meet with more classes, including ones outside of Edmonton still, so giving that option to have a virtual one if they can't come because of distance or even just timing or whatever reason.
In 2020, I was teaching a class through the Edmonton Lifelong Learners Association. And from that, I decided, why don't I expand that into a lecture series for our membership and for the public. So in 2022, I did a monthly lecture series. So I broke up aviation history in Edmonton over about a 12-month period. And then every month did a lecture for about 45 minutes to an hour online. There's a lot of people outside of Edmonton, they're interested in aviation history or just aviation in general. So trying to connect to that wider audience and being able to tell people outside of Edmonton our story and what made Edmonton so key in aviation history was pretty important for the museum.